Millions of acres of surface water nationwide are infested with non-indigenous, problem-causing aquatic plants like yellow floating heart. These plants, with no natural enemies in the United States, can be detrimental to our aquatic ecosystems, interfering with navigation, flood control, hydropower production, and waterborne recreation. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers faces this challenge every day in the management of over 5.5 million surface acres of water at its reservoir and navigation projects across the United States. Aquatic plant management in the U.S. costs millions annually to USACE districts and states, primarily through herbicide application. However, other solutions are being explored by USACE's Aquatic Plant Control Research Program. The program is the nation's only federally authorized research program directed to developing technology for the management of non-indigenous aquatic plant species, with the focus of providing effective, economical, and environmentally compatible methods for assessing and managing these problem plants. The Aquatic Plant Control Research Program has been leveraging the expertise and world-class facilities of the U.S. Army Engineer Research and Development Center in the development of management strategies for these non-indigenous aquatic plants. To gain knowledge of these plant species, ERDIC's researchers have fostered international collaborations with researchers across the globe, which has been instrumental in the gathering of data. ERDIC is currently leading the Aquatic Plant Control Research Program's efforts to find a biological control agent for yellow floating heart in South Korea.
Up front, we'll contact folks that are in countries where the plant occurs, ask them to send material our way. We'll conduct a genetics study to determine where in the world did our specific populations of plants come from. And that'll be like a first screening that we use to determine where we would look. Then we would find collaborators in those countries, either with local, state, federal governments or with universities, and kind of leverage their expertise to go out and conduct these surveys. We don't know the ecology of the plant in those locations. We may not really know where it occurs in those locations. And so finding local collaborators is one of the most important parts of the project. So the process in general involves going to the native range of the plant and doing surveys to find what we call natural enemies. We are looking for insects that might be damaging the plant. We're looking for pathogens that could be infecting the plant and causing disease. And we're also collecting demographic data on the plant that we can compare with work that's been done in the US. We're interested in the types of agents that could be used to control floating heart in the US. We're interested in what the specific agents might be. So once we collect them, we'll have them identified, probably do some genetic work on them. And ultimately, we want to know that they are damaging to the plant and that they'll reduce the abundance in the US.
The survey process for suitable biocontrol agents can span over many years.
So we started surveying for biocontrol agents of yellow floating heart probably in about 2014. And it takes quite a long period to conduct these surveys because initially we have to survey for where the plants actually occur. We look at all the different environments that it occurs in, and then we have to conduct a series of surveys over subsequent years to narrow down the best biocontrol agents.
And again, the field component of these projects can last more than a decade. I mean, it really can, depending on how large the native range of the plant species is. It may take that long to adequately survey all of the native range. And sometimes you, at that point, won't even have completely covered the native range. And so far what we've done is mostly covered South Korea, which is in the native range of these plants. And we have identified a weevil there.
저는 작년에 한국의 대구라는 도시에서 처음 위비를 찾아냈습니다. 그 위빌은 림포이데스 꽃의 위쪽에 앉아 있었는데요. 그래서 올해 같은 지역에 가서 여러 번 조사를 해본 결과 6월 달에 50마리가 넘는 개체를 수집을 했습니다. 그러나 지금 8월인데요. 8월에는 어디에서도 지금 찾을 수 없기 때문에 내년부터는 조금 더 이른 시기인 4월부터 6월, 7월까지 좀 더 집중적으로 우리나라에 있는 한국에 있는 위비를 좀 찾아보려고 하고 있습니다.
And back to the question about how important it is to have local collaborators. We've been traveling over to Korea during the late summer every year and really hadn't found very much other than a few potential pathogen agents. But our local collaborator was going out monthly and looking at these sites, and he discovered a weevil in the spring that we never detected at any other time of the year. So that, that's kind of highlights the importance of those international relationships. Then at the next stage is host specificity and host range testing, where the insects are put through a series of tests and experiments to make sure that they only feed on the plant that we're interested in. And finally, if we conclude that they are safe, they won't attack any other plant species, then we go through the permitting process, which is regulated by the USDA in the US.
Going forward, the South Korean research team hopes to harness the expertise and knowledge of USACE's researchers as they look to expand their country's biological control capabilities in the management of non-indigenous plants.